स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे कालिन्दे फुल्लकमले माधवेन क्रीडारत ब्रह्मानंद नमस्तुभ्यं सद्गुरो लोकनायक। Namaste. Today is the birthday of Swami Brahmananda Ji Maharaj. Swami Brahmananda Ji Maharaj, he was the first president of the Ramakrishna order. He was a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna had many disciples, among whom he said that a selected few of them were Ishwar Kotis, and among those selected few, Swami Brahmananda Ji was one. Today, on the birthday of Swami Brahmananda Ji Maharaj, we will talk about his life and his teachings. Swami Brahmananda Ji Maharaj, in his childhood days, he was called as Rakhal. His father was Anand Mohan Ghosh and his mother was Kailash Kamini Ghosh. He was born in a village near Calcutta. The name of the village was Sikra Kulingram. In his childhood days, Swami Brahmananda Ji, Rakhal, he was very much devoted to God, and he used to like playing worship. That means he used to play as if he was worshipping God. And whenever the priest used to perform worship in the house, he used to sit behind the priest for a long time and he would be absorbed in the worship of God. And he had an interest in games, he liked gardening, he liked music. And then in course of time, he met Narendranath. Both of them were members of the Brahmo Samaj, and they were also members of a gymnasium. And one day, Rakhal, he met Sri Ramakrishna because one of his relatives, his wife's brother, was devoted to Sri Ramakrishna, and he took Sri Ramakrishna to him. Before that, Sri Ramakrishna had prayed to the Divine Mother that he would like to have a young pure-souled boy who was devoted to God as his constant companion. In response to this prayer of his, the Divine Mother one day appeared before Sri Ramakrishna and said that you wanted a boy to live with you. Here is one. She showed him a young boy who was sitting on his lap. Here is your son. Sri Ramakrishna was taken aback. The Divine Mother smiled and said, no, it's not that you're going to have a physical son, but he will be your spiritual son. Just before Sri Ramakrishna came to Dakshineshwar for the first time, just before Rakhal came to Dakshineshwar for the first time, Sri Ramakrishna had a vision. He was sitting on the banks of the Ganga and he suddenly saw a beautiful lotus on the Ganga on which two young beautiful looking boys were dancing. One was Sri Krishna himself and the other was a shepherd boy of Vrindavan. He was an associate of Sri Krishna. So the moment Rakhal came and met Sri Ramakrishna, he came to know that he was the boy whom he had seen in his vision. So then there was an intimate relationship between Sri Ramakrishna and Rakhal. He used to be with him often and he was always like a child with in front of his mother. So Sri Ramakrishna also was happy in his company, and he trained his disciple. Rakhal, as such, he was born with very good samskaras. He had training under Sri Ramakrishna, and then he had many visions also right from his young age. one day he was pestering Sri Ramakrishna for a divine vision, and suddenly Sri Ramakrishna turned towards him and scolded him. So he was massaging his feet. So when he was scolded by Sri Ramakrishna, immediately the young boy that he was, he threw the bottle of oil and he simply rushed out of the Dakshineshwara temple. Hardly had he gone near the main gate that he suddenly found that his legs had become paralyzed and he was not able to move further. Not knowing what to do, he simply sat on the road, and in the meanwhile Sri Ramakrishna sent Ramlal to go and pacify him and bring him back. And so when he was brought back, Sri Ramakrishna told, you see, I had made a circle around you and you could not cross that circle. And he explained to him why he had got angry on him, telling that he had to open up something in him, then only he could have a vision. So that there was some hidden meaning in that. And so one day when he was with Sri Ramakrishna, Rakhal had the vision which he was yearning for. Apart from that, he had many other visions. Once when he was sitting in the Kali temple in the Nath Mandir, suddenly he saw that the temple was filled with a divine light, and the divine light was coming towards him, ready to engulf him. Sri Ramakrishna suddenly, Sri Rakhal suddenly got afraid and he rushed out. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, you are always asking me for visions, and now when you got one, you simply avoided it. So in this way his training was going on. And once Sri Ramakrishna wrote a special mantra on his tongue. Rakhal at that time was not having a good state of mind. So when he told that to Sri Ramakrishna, he wrote a mantra on his tongue, and then he suddenly found that his mind rose up and he went into a very high spiritual state. And once Rakhal falls ill, and then Balaram Bose takes him to Vrindavan for recouping, and there he was initially very happy, and then later on he fell ill there. Sri Ramakrishna was very much concerned because he knew that he was an eternal companion of Sri Krishna, and in Vrindavan, if the fact that he was an eternal companion of Sri Krishna, if he comes to know about it, he may even give up his body. But the Divine Mother assured him that no such thing would happen. Once, during the last days of Sri Ramakrishna, when Sri Ramakrishna was training up his disciples, and in particular Narendranath, to take care of the brotherhood, monastic brotherhood which he was planning to create. So he commented that Rakhal had the intelligence and genius of a king. If he wanted, he could rule a kingdom. So taking hint from the statement of Sri Ramakrishna, Narendranath immediately called his brother disciples and told them about this, and said that from today onwards we will call Rakhal as Raja, and from that day onwards he was known as Raja Maharaj. After the Mahasamadhi of Sri Ramakrishna, his brother disciples they gathered together in Varanagar Mutt, and they were practicing spiritual disciplines, and then Swami and then they took sannyasa also, and each one got a monastic name. Rakhal was given the name Swami Brahmananda, and he felt an urge to stay alone and to do intense austerities, to which Narendranath agreed, but said that he would send Subodhanandaji with him to take care of him. So Rakhal Maharaj did not object, and Subodhanji and they set out on a pilgrimage. They went to various places. They went to Varanasi, they went to Omkarnath, they went to Panchavati, and then to Vrindavan. In all these places, Swami Brahmanandaji, he performed intense austerities, and he had visions and he went into samadhi and in high states, high spiritual states. So this was going on. Swami Subodhanji used to go out and beg food and come back, and Rakhal Maharaj was immersed in spiritual practices the whole day. So much so that sometimes when he used to enter into samadhi, Subodhanji was afraid that he would not come out of that state. And things went on in this manner. Once Subodhanji asked Swami Brahmaji, "You are the spiritual son of God himself, and all that you want, you have already been given realizations, and all realizations will be given to you. Why are you performing so many spiritual austerities?" To this, Swami Brahmaji replied that what you say is true, but I feel a sense of lack in me. Those states which I got by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, I want to make that state my own. I should be able to get to that state whenever I want. That is why I am performing austerities. This state should become habitual. In 1893, Swami Vivekananda had gone to the United States of America. There at the World Parliament of Religions, he participated, and very eloquently he spoke about his religion, about the Vedanta philosophy, about his motherland. And he in 1895, when Swamiji became well known in the World Parliament of Religions, he started writing letters to his brother disciples, and then they in turn wrote to Swami Brahmaji, and then Swami Turiyaji was with Swami Brahmaji at that time. And then when Swami Turiyaji said that now let us go back to Baranagar Mutt, so Swami Brahmaji told him, "You please go back, you have work to do, I will come later on." And then he immersed himself into austerities once again. And in 1895, Swami Brahmaji came back to Baranagar Mutt, and Swamiji was very happy on hearing that he has come back. And when Swami Vivekananda returned to India, when he arrived at Calcutta, Swami Brahmananda ji himself went to receive him, and there was a nice emotional scene there when Swami Brahmanji garlanded Swami Vivekananda and received him. Immediately Swami Vivekananda, he touched his feet and said, "The Guru and the Guru's son are one and the same." At this, Swami Brahmananda, he again touched the feet of Swami Vivekananda and said that an elder brother is as good as one's father. So there was a very great loving relationship between the two. And in 1897, the month of May, Swami Vivekananda called a meeting of the disciples, the monastic and the lay disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, and he formed the Ramakrishna mission. And Swami Brahmananda was made the president of the Calcutta Center. And later on, in 1902, Swami Brahmananda was made the president of the Ramakrishna order by Swami Vivekananda. One important thing that we see in Swami Brahmananda ji and his teachings and his training is that he laid great stress on the spiritual training of his disciples. Since the monks and the brahmacharis were doing a lot of work in the organization, he was very careful to see that the monastics were not carried away by work alone. He very much paid attention to their spiritual practices and to their spiritual growth. So he used to say that, you see, the strength and the power of a monastic organization depends upon the inner life of its members, not on the buildings, not on the work the organization is doing, not on the help that it renders to society, but it depends upon the spiritual life of its members. So all monastic members ought to pay attention to their spiritual life by doing spiritual practices and then by doing work also. Sometimes we think that by doing work itself we will progress and we will realize God. Of course, through work our mind will be purified, and on the purification of mind God realization becomes possible by the grace of God. But the work itself, if it has to be done in the right spirit, if we have to have the right attitude towards work and towards the people whom we are serving, we need to do other spiritual practices like japa, meditation, prayer, etc. Only then can we do work in the right spirit. Swami Brahmanji had once told one of his disciples, Swami Atishwaranji, that, you see, if you give the body and mind to the world will destroy your body and mind. But if you give your body and mind to God, you will have healthy body, you will have a peaceful mind, and you will have spiritual bliss also. And then Swami Brahmanji, he used to initiate disciples. Initially he was a bit reluctant to initiate one and all. So he used to be very selective in his in giving initiation. The Holy Mother herself had remarked that Swami Brahmananda ji was not initiating enough disciples. It happened so that one Swami Brahmananda ji saw a drama based on the life of Ramanuja. There's an incident in the life of Ramanuja where his Guru gives him a mantra and says that if you repeat this mantra, you will have the highest realization, you will go to heaven. But if you divulge this mantra to anybody, you will go to hell. And then the other person will go to heaven. So Sri Ramanuja had such a large heart. He was so generous. He was so much concerned about others that immediately he climbed up the temple top, and then he called all the people to come and assemble, and he gave the mantra to all of them. When his Guru heard this, he felt annoyed. He called Ramanuja and scolded him and said, why did you do this? Don't you know that on divulging this mantra you will go to hell? He said, I don't mind going to hell if so many of them can be liberated and they can go to heaven. His Guru was very appreciative of this large-heartedness of his disciple. And during those times, there were many who were participating in the freedom movement. They wanted the political independence of India. So many of his disciples and to-be disciples, they were arguing that they must first fight for the country. Then Swami Brahmanji, he pointed out that political freedom can only be got by intensifying the national spiritual life. Without intensification of the national spiritual life, political independence cannot be got. He was very particular in this. And then we find that Swami Brahmanji, when he was training his disciples, sometimes he used to scold them very severely and for long hours. And they used to feel hurt at times, but at times they used to feel the deep inner love that he had for them. Sometimes it happened that the disciples was terribly hurt and didn't know why he was being scolded so much for some petty things. Then once when Swami Turiyanji was there, the disciple was being scolded. Swami Turiyanji he made it clear to the disciples that you see, there are three types of disciples. One class of disciple is that class in which the disciple simply follows what is being told to him by his guru. He is the disciple of the lowest type, and the disciple of a mediocre type is when the thought rises in the mind of the guru, immediately the disciple recognizes it and he does the work that he has to do. And the disciple of the best type is he does the work even before the thought arises in the mind of the guru. So he told the monastics that Swami Brahmananda wanted all of you to be disciples of the highest order. That is why he was scolding you. Once he scolded a disciple so much so that the disciple was terribly upset and hurt, and then he made up his mind that he is going to leave the organization. So silently he made preparations for leaving, and before leaving he went to Swami Brahmananda to offer his last pranams. So when all other monastics were offering pranams, he too went and he offered pranams. Then Swami Brahmaji asked him to wait. He asked him to sit down. When others had gone, he told, again he went on scolding him. After scolding him, suddenly he told, do you think you can run away from here? And then he spoke to him with so much love that the disciple totally changed his mind and gave up the idea of leaving the monastery. And Swami Brahmaji, he was a saint of the highest order, and so we find him having so many visions and so many spiritual states. So once he was telling that, you see, sometimes I don't feel like teaching anybody because I see God everywhere. So who is to teach whom? I don't even feel like telling anything to anybody. But afterwards, when my mind comes down, and when I find the ignorance in the people around me, then I teach them and I train them. So this was the level in which his mind was. And about the gods and goddesses in various temples and places of pilgrimage, Swami Brahmanji said that, you see, these gods and goddesses are not myth, they are all real. They are real. All gods and goddesses are different aspects of the one Godhead. And it is possible to have their vision, and it is possible also to talk with them. Once when he was in Belur Math, when he was sitting on the banks of the Ganges, suddenly he saw the goddess Durga walking on top of the Ganga and coming towards the Belur Math. She came to the place where the sacred Vilva tree was there, and then she came there and she disappeared. Just at that moment, Swami Vivekananda, who had gone out, he came by boat, and then he told Swami Brahmanandaji that he immediately preparations for Durga Puja should be made, because he had a vision in which he saw that Durga Puja was being performed in Belur Math. And Durga Puja was performed that year, and every year after that it was being performed in Belur Math. Swami Brahmaji even started Durga Puja in our centers in Kankhal, in Varanasi and Madras also. And once he used to like Christmas being celebrated, and once in Chennai, Sister Devmata was there, and then Christmas was being celebrated, and then there he went into a deep spiritual state, and when he came out of that state, he told that he had a vision of Christ standing near the altar, and he was speaking to him. And then Swami Brahmanandaji, he went to various places of pilgrimage. He went to the south, He went to Madurai, to Rameshwaram, to Kanyakumari, to Tirupati, to Puri, and in all the places he went into deep spiritual states. He had a vision of the deity. He was in direct communion with the deity itself. In Madurai, when he went and stood before the Divine Mother, he immediately went into a deep state and Ramakrishnaji was with him. He held him lest he should fall down, and all the people there were observing him. All were observing in silence the deep spiritual state of Swami Brahmanji, and this lasted for 1 hour. After that, when he came back to normal consciousness, immediately, silently, he left that place and he went into a deep state when he went to Rameshwaram. And in Kanyakumari, in front of the Divine Mother, he used to go into ecstasy and he used to have samadhi. Every time he went there, he used to have samadhi. He used to have a direct vision of the Divine Mother. And in Tirupati also the same thing happened. But in Tirupati, Swami Brahmanji, he commented that the deity of that place was the Divine Mother herself. Normally, we consider it to be temple of Vishnu, and Vishnu is the presiding deity. But Swami Brahmaji saw the Divine Mother herself there. And on enquiry, it was found out that previously it had been a temple of the Divine Mother. Later on, under the influence of Ramanujacharya, it was converted into a Vishnu temple. And in Puri, when he went into the temple, he did not see the images of Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra and Subhadra, whereas he saw Sri Krishna himself standing there. Once in Belur Math, that is towards the end of his life, during Sri Ramakrishna's Jayanti, Swami Brahmanji went into a very high spiritual mood. He was in samadhi for a long time. So other monastic members became concerned. They got worried. And Holy Mother was there at that time in Belur Math. They went to Holy Mother and told about Swami Brahmaji's deep spiritual state. The mother was not at all concerned. She was rather happy that he was having such a state. And then she went to him and slowly touching his hand, she said, "Rakhal, I have come. I have brought prasad for you." So on hearing this, immediately he came down to normal consciousness, and on seeing Holy Mother, he got up and he prostrated himself before her. In the year 1922, Swami Brahmanji was there living in Balram Bose's house. Ramlal was there, and Ramlal was a relative of Sri Ramakrishna, and he had served Sri Ramakrishna, and so they had a very good relationship. So they were talking about Sri Ramakrishna's life and his Leela. And Swami Brahmanji was very happy. Then he asked Ramlal to sing songs. He sang songs on Krishna. And at a particular time when he sang about Krishna and about the shepherds of Vrindavan crying to Krishna, asking him to come back, suddenly Swami Brahmaji went into a deep spiritual state. Then it appeared as if he had a feeling of his real nature. After that, he went back to Belur Math. Sri Ramakrishna's Jayanti took place, and then he came back to Balram Bose's house. Then it was seen that he had cholera, and then he recovered from cholera, and then he had high diabetes, and slowly his health was deteriorating, and then it was seen that Swami Brahmaji was getting into deep spiritual states, and he was muttering so many things. Once he started having visions. He used to say that Sri Ramakrishna is real and his incarnation is real. Then he started speaking as if he was a cowherd boy, shepherd of Vrindavan. He was as if he was talking to Sri Krishna. And then towards the end he used to say, See, Sri Krishna has come. See, he is dancing on the lotus. Put anklets on my feet. I too will dance with him. Sri Krishna is calling me. He is asking me to come to him. So he started speaking in that way. Then he was telling that my play is over. Now I have to go to Sri Krishna. And towards the end, on the 10th of April 1922, Swami Brahmanji passed into Mahasamadhi. So we find that Swami Brahmanji's life was an intense spiritual life. His life was not an ordinary life. His life was a highly exalted life. He was a soul which Sri Ramakrishna brought down along with him to do his work here on earth. And we find that Swami Brahmananda ji, whenever he used to teach his disciples and devotees, he used to lay stress on spiritual practices. He used to lay stress on sincerity in spiritual practices. And he always used to say, don't waste time. You should be up and doing. Only when you struggle for a few years, only when you intensely struggle for a few years, then you can achieve something. Otherwise, you cannot hope to achieve anything by leading a lukewarm spiritual life. He always stressed on Sahaja Yoga, recollectedness of God. That we have to remember God all the time, and we have to put effort. Just sitting idle will not do. Even doing our spiritual practices in the morning and in the evening, sitting on a particular spot, that also will not help us much if we don't have the recollectedness of God throughout the day. So in Swami Brahmanji we find a spiritual dynamo. His life is a source of inspiration to thousands of people. Even today, there are people who get highly inspired by reading the life of Swami Brahmanji and his teachings. So on this holy day, let us all contemplate on the life of Swami Brahmananda ji, and let us learn. Let us develop our spiritual lives according to his teachings. Let us all be elevated. Let us all realize God. With this prayer, we conclude this talk on Swami Brahmananda ji Maharaj. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj ji ki jai. Jai Mahamai ki jai. Jai Swami ji Maharaj ji ki jai. Jai Swami Brahmananda Maharaj ji ki jai.